All right, so video number two. This is take two, actually. Video number two, take two. Came prepared with notes, but this time we're gonna talk about Jupiter's Legacy. Um, and yeah, wasn't that good? Anyways, take this as your 5 to 10 second spoiler warning because I will be diving into spoilers. Boy, and I'm gonna keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting. Okay, that's enough. Now, this show was mediocre at best, and I tell that, and it hurts because this is a superhero show, and I'm all for superpowers. I'm all for like, yeah, those costumes on point. That was great, but it fell short. Now, just to kind of go back and forth, from my notes, this show had a big budget. I'm assuming because it was a Netflix show, and for it to fall so short off like the actual like point it was supposed to be at, it was really disappointing. Like legit, it felt like actually it wasn't as bad as Iron Fist. Season one. I'm not even gonna because it did get better, but like anyways, it just it wasn't good enough. Now it had good things, but the bad things overshadowed the good things. Now the main to start off, the main storyline was bleh, it was barf. Like the main storyline literally felt like drama but with super powered people. That's literally what it felt like. And I was just like the whole family drama made no sense to me. It didn't actually it didn't drive the story anywhere necessarily. It didn't like it brought no emotions to me. Like it just felt like, oh, okay, neglected father that's a superhero takes the job first before the children. Makes sense. One wants to follow in the footsteps, the other one just doesn't give a shit about anything. And it was just boring. Like it didn't add up to anything in all reality. The characters didn't really learn anything, and by that I mean the children. And then in the end, even when there seemed to be certain points where the utopian specifically would be maybe learning something, he seems to recede back to his old mentality. I'll dive into that a little bit later, but it made no sense, and to me, it just didn't do good. Now, that was a whole other thing too. It seems like most of the main heroes were really shitty parents to their kids, and I was like, the fuck. These people have clearly never seen Clark Kent raise Jonathan Kent and pass down his legacy like it's nobody's business. Like legit. Like what the fuck? Like have you not read? Like yeah, it made no sense to me. Now, man, that leads me to Utopian's Code, and I'm really gonna dive into that one because even a friend of mine was kind of going back and forth with me regarding this, um, and we were on the same page, but still. Now, the other thing too, they should have just given me season one of pure flashbacks because the flashbacks was probably the best meta, the best thing, and I say meta like meta, boricuazo, ¿sabes? Bien boricua. Like it was probably the best thing that the show did. I really enjoyed the struggle and the journey that the characters went through to actually gain their powers. I still want to know why they were chosen because even after they went through the struggles and the actual trials, they later on fell through. Why is it that they didn't lose those powers? That's the question. So honestly, I'm intrigued with the fallout of the union, how the union came up, and how they became famous. Because that would have been really interesting to see just the rise and fall, in a sense, of an empire. The rise and fall of how things changed, how they became famous. That would have been really, really interesting to see. Yet we got the main storyline going back and forth with the main timeline, or sorry, with with the flashbacks, and there was nothing there. Like there have been shows that do this, like Arrow, where they go back and forth, from flashbacks to the future or to the current time, and there's a lesson that is learned in the past that is either unlearned or adapted in the future. And this show did absolutely nothing like that. The past had absolutely nothing to do with the current timeline, and it didn't make any sense to me. I honestly wanted to see something that would have been a lot stronger or better in that regards, and we didn't get it. So that's why I'm an advocate of, like, hey, if you want to watch the show, mainly watch the flashbacks. That's gonna be like the best thing. Origins, boom, boom, perfect. Yeah, the superpowers and the special effects, yeah, they were okay, they were good, but man, the main storyline didn't do it for me. It just didn't. Now, I highly do think that they should have done this in chronological order. I think it would have been a lot better. And as I mentioned before, it would have just it would have been a more solid show, because the back and forth of the storylines and the disconnection, it didn't hook me. If they had given me the whole first season of the origins, I would have been hooked, and then I would have been more interested in seeing something in the current storyline, kind of seeing how they change and how their mentalities got warped into the current standings that they have. The best example of that is the Utopian. The Utopian, literally, his code is broken. His code of, we don't kill, we don't govern, we don't do this, we don't do that. You're gonna tell me, and they highlighted this in the show, that World War II happened and you had powers to stop it and you didn't? Bruh. Come on, man. Absolutely not. I don't know. No. In any way, shape, or form. No. And it's probably kind of like, it's kind of rooted in the whole idea that a lot of comic books started around that era, the Superman, and a lot of them fought against the Nazis in the comic books. Captain America, Superman, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not sure about Superman, so don't quote me on that one. But still, his code of not killing, it doesn't feel right. It basically is. It's a good. I mean, I can see the morality of it all, but at the same time, has been so tightened around everybody that it blurred the Utopian to a black and white world when the world is very clearly gray, and that is an issue, because the world is not black and white. Not anymore. There are a lot of shades of gray, and people live within those shades of gray. Now, that said, though, I'm going back to my notes. See, I wrote it out. Honestly, the push of his code was just too extensive, and I think that interrupted the idea that he wants of passing down a legacy. And that, to me, it was lackluster. I wasn't interested in seeing that. Now, granted, let's talk about somebody else's mind been warped. Brainwave was very predictable, bro. Like, his brother being evil, my friend Ish legit said, like, yeah, I saw that coming. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, I didn't like the way that his master plan was literally a freaking exposition dump at the end of the show. And he killed his own daughter who did the exposition dump. It was fucking ridiculous. Legit. Like, it made no sense. And the whole other thing too, like, another thing that my friend Ish pointed out, legit, why did Brainwave need to do the whole acting when he was in the Mind Palace of the fake Black Star? Why did he have to do that? Why did he have to do a whole fighting scene when he was against Skyfox in the mind later on of the dead Black Star? It made no sense. Made no sense whatsoever. And even then, The stretch that we kind of try to put on it is, oh, if we were, the audience, aka through the character of Anna Akana, who was Raiko, Brainwave's daughter, it still would have been too much. Like, that's just a stretch. And it made no sense. Now, that's mainly it for my main thoughts there. But few honorable mentions. Why the fuck did you have to make them look older? These people, actors, are already older. Just keep them young and freaking put them in the future. Maybe a gray hair or two, which is makeup. But the utopian in that Jesus look of white hair, or actually not Jesus, sorry, that Noah look, and it made no, it didn't work for me. His wife though, Lady Liberty, she was given a gray wig, and I was like, okay, you rocking it. Silver Fox Lady, I see you. She looked good. But even then, like, it didn't work for me. That did not work for me. Wow, we're going into 11 minutes. I really didn't like this show. Now, again, the best parts were the past, the origin story, and I loved it. But a lot of that is because I like lore. I really like seeing the beginnings of things, and I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist when it comes to creating, stories and creating origins, but I freaking love that. Now, yeah, I mean, other than that, this show was not worth it. I mean, it's a lot better if you want to see shows that are literally about morality and questioning morality. Watch The Boys, watch Invincible. Those shows are freaking great, and they're all on Amazon Prime. Just saying, like, legit. With that said, that wraps up my review of Jupiter's Legacy. In all honesty, if you want to watch it. The actors are solid actors. Oh, real quick, that's another side note. The guy that does Skyfox, George, that fancy bastard, he is the guy that voices Anakin in Star Wars The Clone Wars. And this, again, I can't take this thought for myself. My friend Ish pointed it out to me. So, yeah, his voice, like, him and I recognized it, but I was like, I can't pinpoint it until Ish literally pointed out, yo, this guy is Anakin. And I was like, that's why he sounded so good to me. Holy crap. But he is literally, like, I would really like to see more of his character. And I think I would have been maybe a little bit more interested in his character in the future to kind of see and understand his point of view. But otherwise, or not the future, in the current timeline. But otherwise, this show wasn't that worth it. And honestly, if they come out with a season 2, I'm probably not going to watch it. If I watch it, it'll be out of pure boredom. So, yeah. With that said, that completes my review of Jupiter's Legacy. And if you like this, you like this. If you don't, well, that's your problem. Anyways, love you guys. Take care.